Okay, ready? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Christian status. Oh.
Cool. Hi, my name is Alex Marcus, and if I could just have you state your name and the name of the show, and just some little bit of background.
So my name is Patrisse Cullors, and the show is called An Evening with Warriors, Speaking the Unspoken, and it's about queer, trans, people of color stories.
Cool. I just want to sort of give you a background on myself and why this interview is really important to me. So I'm a fourth year anthropology major at UCLA.
Awesome.
I'm also an intern for the LA Gay and Lesbian Center. I've been granted the position of field organizer, and we're really just building out this group called Act for Equality at UCLA. And so we're working with students of color, trans students, queer students, cisgendered students, allies, everything under the sun, pretty much. And what we do is we're trying to build a group that starts the conversation with the community. We're working on a piece of legislation right now that was passed last year in California to protect trans students in K through 12.
Totally know that.
You know that,
Yep.
AB 1266. So we're experiencing some opposition
From
and,
LAUSD? Or from school districts?
just from it's a lot of the people who funded Prop 8 are the ones that are behind propaganda, basically.
Okay.
So they're trying to do a Prop 8 style repeal.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've gathered 600,000 signatures in 3 months.
Okay,
And
wow.
We're finding out on February 24th whether or not we're going to be voting on it in November.
Okay.
So we're at UCLA.
That's scary.
Yeah, we're doing like on the ground political research, going door to door, talking to voters, and trying to see where, because we've seen Prop 8, right? But the conversation of trans and queer people is really new.
Totally.
California is like really at the forefront of, this law is like pivotal. And obviously the law is not perfect. We have a long way to go, but it's a start.
Right.
And so, and I'm also a dancer. And so, the intersection of performance art and social justice is why I'm really, really excited about your show.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I want to know what inspires you as an artist, a person of color, and a queer identifying person as well.
My story inspires me, and the stories of queer POC people across Los Angeles, those of us who sometimes our racial trauma outweighs our queer trauma, and we don't actually get to activate the both of them and the intersectionality. And so I actually wrote a piece that was talking to when I came out when I was 15 years old. My brother was also incarcerated inside LA County jails, and he was beaten pretty badly while he was there. And so his obviously really serious situation trumped my queer trauma. And
Totally.
had a lot of conflict with my mother, and eventually ended up moving in with a teacher and a mentor of mine. But I never got to really work that out and talk about it. It was just sort of like, this is our life, this is my life, and this is how it is. And so I wrote this piece, and after I wrote the piece, I was like, well, I would like to bring performers together who have different stories, right? There's all these different kinds of coming out, not just around our sexual orientation, but about our gender, or coming out about our religion, or coming out about how we view the world. That's like oftentimes opposition to the norm. And this piece for me is, these 4 people's stories that are often in opposition to the norm, and all of them both happen to be queer and or trans, and they're all these other things.
Right. Awesome. That's so awesome. So how long did it take you, so you wrote it when you moved in with your mentor? Was it a process?
No, I didn't write this piece. I wrote a piece of my own. It was just sort of like a journal writing about a year and a half ago. And I sent it to a couple of my friends, and were like, I want to share this with you and kind of name where I'm at. And I'm realizing that I haven't taken the time to really look at my queerness from a particular social justice lens.
Right.
And then I was called on a friend of mine, Mark Kramer, who does a show every year called Install WeHo, where you get U-Haul trucks in a parking lot, and it's like a pop-up performance. And so this was actually the pop-up performance that I created, and the original piece was called Warriors Dressed in Queer, Cloaked in Now, and we performed it on a U-Haul truck. And so and then I heard Highways was looking for new works, and I emailed Leo, and he was like, come in, let's talk. And I showed him the piece, and he was like, I love it, let's bring it to this theater. So that was last year in July.
Right. So, you know, we were talking about, you know, race oppression, gender oppression, work oppression, class oppression, you know, all of these systems of oppression that exist. And what we're, you know, as I'm working with students, you know, and more people are coming to us and coming out about all of these different things. And we're finding that a lot of the people who are, you know, I guess, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but the people that we're talking to specifically about trans and queer issues, we're finding that the problem is that they don't know trans or queer people. You know, they don't have the experience, they don't have the exposure to the LGBTQ and people of color community. And so, what is your goal with this performance within the LA community? And is there going to be, you know, is this a project that you're going to be working on
for an extended
over time?
I love this. I'm having a deja vu moment because 2 years ago I created an art piece called Stained, an intimate portrayal of state violence that detailed the abuses happening inside the LA County jails. And that piece, I was not trying to do anything but a performance piece, and it developed into an entire organization, which I am now the lead organizer of. And so,
what is the name of that organization?
It's called the Coalition to End Sheriff Violence in LA Jails.
Okay.
And we've been out in the world for the last 15 months doing press conferences and workshops and rallying at the LA County Board of Supervisors. But, you know, you bringing up the bill and what's happening right now, I was like, oh man, this piece could actually be a catalyst to really help that movement. And,
absolutely.
I mean, everything's timing. Everything happens for a reason. So if the time is right to use this piece in that way, then to me that would be the plan for it. I mean, for me, it was about just bringing the art and telling our stories, and that's radical in and of itself, because our stories are often untold. So I think that, but I'm like sitting here kind of like, man, it would be great to tell this story in the backdrop of trying to, you know, push these right-wingers, these homophobic and transphobic right-wingers, and how do we get more people to sort of understand us and humanize us. Exactly.
Yeah, humanizing. That is like the word of my life right now. You know, it's like I've gone out and talked to voters, you know, gone door to door and just had these conversations with people, and you know, coming out on my own, you know, as pansexual, you know, cisgendered ally, and having these conversations with people and like actually leveling with people I thought I would never in my life have a conversation with, because we so starkly disagree on so many things. But, you know, coming from a neutral standpoint and then, you know, kind of waiting until we develop a relationship and then coming out is like an incredible experience, you know, and you can kind of see the wheels start to turn. It's because they're having this humanizing experience of someone who's affected by these systems of oppression. So there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but for the sake of just bringing it back to the show, what are you most excited about tonight as the opening night?
I'm most excited about bringing all my family and friends to hold space for the 4 performers in particular, and then I have a new piece that I'm presenting tonight as well.
Cool.
So I'm super excited about that. But I think, I'm most excited about bringing the family and friends together to just like share in this space and share with each other around our stories, our queer, trans, POC stories.
Yeah. Is your family familiar with your work? Have they seen you perform before?
They've seen me before. I've been performing for a very long time. So I'm a trained dancer. And then I've been trained in theater of the press work. And so they totally have seen my work. I told my mom about this piece. So it was an interesting conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did your mom take you coming out? You said that there was like
there was many layers.
Yeah.
There's many layers.
Right. Coming out is a long
Yeah, it's a long
process.
process. And I'm always coming out because I'm also poly.
Yeah.
So I have like multiple partners, and that's also a process. And but it was hard. It was hard at the beginning. I had to leave my house at a pretty young age and live with a mentor, and I'm grateful that I wasn't technically homeless, like on the streets, but I definitely was without a home. You know? I was living in people's living rooms, and then it got better. I got better with time, and then I had lots of conversations with her, and she was like, "Well, I don't agree, but I love you, and I'm going to love you eternally."
Yeah. So did you had your mentor, and then did you eventually through that time find a group of people who you roll with?
Well, the fascinating part of this story is that actually a lot of us, I went to a very queer high school, and by happenstance, there was about 20 of us that all came out around the same time.
Where's the high school?
Cleveland High School in the San Fernando Valley in Reseda.
Cool. Oh yeah, Reseda. That's where I was talking to people.
Yeah, good old Reseda.
Yeah.
So we all came out. A lot of us were kicked out pretty violently. A lot of us were left voluntarily. A lot of parents let us come to their houses. So there was like a traveling pack of queer kids, about 20 queer kids of color who just ran the streets of the valley and tried to figure it out.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm sure there's like a million people that inspire you. But when you're performing tonight, if you're even thinking about anything, because I know when I'm performing, I'm just in my body. Right. But maybe like before you perform, is there somebody that you're thinking of? You're just thinking about your journey, your story.
Oh, I think about Harriet Tubman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
my I'm in an open relationship with her.
Yeah.
She's my wife.
That's what's up. Yes.
So that's
it's your motivator.
She's my about 4 years ago. I mean, always since I was a child, I've been kind of obsessed with her. But 4 years ago, like I was reminded about my intense love for Harriet Tubman, and so she's who I conjure.
Yes.
Yeah. She's the witch I conjure for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to talk to you more about this.
This is great.
Really excited for your show. Yeah, thanks for having us out.
Of course. Thank you for coming out. I so appreciate it. Thanks for covering it.
Yeah. You guys, tonight and tomorrow night, come here. What is the address here? 1651 East 18th Street.
Wow, that was good.
You want to be here January or February 1st, which is tomorrow. Thank you, Patrisse, so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah?
Oh.
Okay, good.
I'm like,